All right. Darwin, your thoughts?
Pretty much consistent with what the other guys are saying, but I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic, as I have in previous shows. I'm saying we're going to go all the way, and we're going to repeat
All right.
as champs.
So we have you to thank.
Yeah.
It really wasn't their effort on the ice. It was your
Yeah.
prognostication skills. That's
Well, Keith pointed out something interesting, though. It's important to gel at the right time. And the guys did get better as the season went along. After the holidays, Bob made some key acquisitions, 5-game winning streak, but then a 5-game losing streak. But the guys continued to plug away and get better and better, and they peaked at just the right time, too.
Yeah, that's right. I like the fact, the way I look at it, it's all a dress rehearsal for the playoffs. It's a brand new season there.
Well, and Bob was sitting guys out, playing guys, making sure everybody was fresh, rotating his goalies, keeping everybody healthy. And that's the thing, is you go into the playoffs healthy. Sure, we were a 4th place team, 7th overall, but the fact is that when you've got Dwight McMillan picking Laurent to come out of the north, it's a pretty smart man for a hockey player in the SJ. I'm not going to argue against him.
interesting comment by Bob Beatty earlier in the show. I'm not sure how many of you guys caught it, but he was saying actually compared to last season, they're ahead in terms of actually the players that they've got this year, because of course they had to make a ton of trades and retrades because I think something like 12 guys did report in the offseason last year and from other trades. So he says that actually they're starting up a little bit better than last season. So that's encouraging. Should be really interesting. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about this Junior A supplement. I'm not sure how much you guys know about this. It's starting to trickle out that the SJHL, along with a few other leagues, are actually getting pretty serious about reducing violence and bullying in the game. A number of initiatives aimed at blows to the head, coming down on those a lot more seriously. Goaltender interference, if a team gets 2 of those calls in a game, I think there's potentially a risk of suspensions or at least a game misconduct to someone. And then, of course, there's the anti-fighting measures, cap of 5 fighting majors per player per season, including playoffs. No stage fights this year. They've redefined that. Yeah, so you're not going to see guys drop the gloves right off the whistle at all this season without getting into suspension trouble. What do you guys see? How do you guys see those changes? Do you think those are all good moves? Let's start with you there, Curtis.
It's good to get that balance out of the game. We were talking before we went on camera about, you're getting a lot of stick work, and those are the things that are causing a lot of the injuries and the checking from behinds. And if you can get that out of the game, you're going to see the fighting reduced automatically because no one's going out to protect their players. But you still want to protect your stars of the league here too. I mean, the Lindensmiths and the those types of guys, you don't want them to get the cheap shot and have them out for the season. So there's a fine balance there. But I'm in all favor of reducing the violence as a whole.
Keith, what do you think of those initiatives?
I would agree as well. I don't know a lot about the specifics of it, but again, anything to increase the flow of the game and let the good players play, I think it'll help. And still allow, if they still allow the fights, at least you've still got the protection there. You know that it's not going to be completely chippy hockey, that there could be some repercussions. So as long as it's balanced out as well, I think that should be good.
Yeah, and they're actually still allowing the 2-fight rule. Yeah. So they're capping the amount of fights in a season at 5.
Yeah.
But in an actual individual game, you could actually have as much as 2, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Scott, your thoughts on this initiative?
Yeah. Well, I think it's certainly worth giving it a try. By allowing 2 fights in the game, the league is saying, look, we know that there's going to be circumstances where something happens on the ice and the team is going to take matters into its own hands. And that is going to happen in hockey. It's a fast game. It's a contact game. And those kinds of fights, I don't mind. I mean, if somebody tattoos Sherwood across the back of your buddy's helmet, you're going to jump in there. I'm good with that. What I never did like, and they're getting rid of, is the guys lining up at the face-off circle, making a date, and then saying, hey, we're down 8-3 with 5 minutes left, and I'm just going to go fight somebody. And in my opinion, I know some guys will say, well, you got to send a message. But in my opinion, when you do that, you're settling for second best. That's what you're doing.
It'd be interesting to see if guys, 2 tough guys, actually get a little bit creative with this and decide to have the date
Well,
as you
it'll
put it,
happen.
a little bit later on in the shift, you
Yeah.
know, and pretend that they're playing, and okay, you body check me into the boards, and and then we'll fight, you
Yeah.
know. But
It'll happen. A lot of it's going to come down to the individual referees' management of the game, and in a way, it puts a little more pressure on the ref to do a better job of game management. But those good referees are going to, I guess, be able to tell the coaches and the players, this is when you're over the line, and this is when you're not. And hopefully, you guys are going to figure it out early in the season before you build up too many majors.
before we get to Darwin here, do you guys remember the name Tyler Lawson? Do you guys remember that name? Maybe not. He was a huge super heavyweight with the Kindersley Clippers back in the Dave Hunchak days. And they had this guy to take care of the battle for its North Stars. And anyway, by December, because they had this accumulation of misconducts rule, I don't know if they still have it, he couldn't play any more games because, you know, if he played a game, he'd risk getting a misconduct, and now he was up to like a 4-game suspension because of the way the rules work. And you wonder if, you know, some coaches are going to maybe try and skirt this and just shuffle tough guys in and out of the lineup over the course of the season. Now, I don't know where they're going to find them because there's 5 junior A leagues in the country that are doing this, but it'll be interesting to see whether some teams try that. It's like, okay, you reached your cap for the fighting major limit. It's like, well, bring in another tough guy and then just kind of go over the course of the season. Darwin, your thoughts on this junior A supplement?
Okay, I'm a fan of the odd tussle under the right circumstances, I guess. But I think it's the way the game is evolving. I think it seems to me like a lot of different leagues, including the pro leagues, are you know, discussing these types of issues. Whether you're talking about junior leagues or the pro, you know, the hockey summit, they're all talking about the safety of the players coming first and foremost.
Yeah. Well, it certainly will be pretty revolutionary. There's some things in here that other leagues, as you said, have talked about, and the SJHL and these other leagues are actually doing it. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Well, and they're actually going to, in essence, keep score. Some leagues are doing it, some aren't. And my understanding is that after 2 years, they're going to crunch the numbers and see which one works better.
Compare, yeah.
Should be very, very interesting. Okay, well, gentlemen, thanks for being on the show this evening.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank
All
you.
right. If you're just joining us, this has been another edition of Ice Wolves Insider, and this has been From the Stands. And we've been joined by Ice Wolves fans Darwin Roy, Keith Kratchmer, Curtis Skalicky, and Scott Boyce. We'll be right back to wrap things up. Well, just before we wrap things up, I want to thank our guests for this evening's show. That would be Ice Wolves head coach Bob Beatty, as well as Ice Wolves players Doug Lindensmith and Nolan Souchotte, and of course our fans in From the Stands, Keith Kratchmer, Darwin Roy, Curtis Skalicky, and Scott Boyce. And just a reminder that the Ice Wolves training camp is this weekend. The guys hit the ice, I believe, Friday night, and we'll be there all weekend. So if you want to check out the action, get an early look at some of the new recruits, you're welcome to come to the Uniplex both Saturday and Sunday. Well, that's all the time we have. We'll see you next week.